With markets taking a brief hiatus from this bear market, now could be a great time to put on some hedges onto your portfolio if you don't have them already. Markets going up reduces volatility, which reduces the price of hedging for the most part, and it also reduces the price of hedging just because markets went up, so the hedge itself got a little bit cheaper. So today we're going to go over the ways that you can hedge and protect your retirement account in ways that you might not think you were able to because it's currently in a retirement account. Let's dive in. All right, so the process we'll go through in this video is to first look at if you can do the absolute best option possible and how you can hedge your account. And then we'll move forward. If you can't do that, what's the next best? If you can't do that, what's the next best? And so forth. So the first thing, the best thing that you can do to hedge your retirement account is to invest your money inside of an IRA instead of a 401k and do it at a discount brokerage firm. It's not worth it to do it at somewhere like one of the old dinosaurs like Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones, Goldman Sachs. They're clunky, they're expensive, and they don't allow you the flexibility to actually do what you need to do if you know what you're doing. So put your money in somewhere like Charles Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade. A lot of these discount brokerage firms have great customer service, great pricing, and very adequate technology for you to be able to place your trades when you need to. Now, if you're not actively putting into an individual retirement account, an IRA outside of your workplace retirement account, your 401k, number one, you can start that. But number two, you can likely do a rollover. If you've had multiple jobs in the past, there's likely a part of your 401k. You can call them and say, how much of this came from a rollover from my past job? And they can tell you. You can say, I'd like to take that and I'd like to send that over to an IRA somewhere else. And they'll just send them a check. Once it's in an IRA, these IRAs, you can actually control the investments yourself instead of being, just subject to the, 5 to 10 different mutual funds that they give you a choice in your regular 401k plan. Once it's in an IRA, you can actually hedge. And so the best way to do that is to buy puts. And I say the best because it's the most specific way to hedge. Now, every platform is different. I'm going to show you briefly what it looks like to do this, just the mechanics. It's very simple. Imagine it's like buying fire insurance or car insurance. Okay, let's say your retirement account is worth, let's say $30,000. And just for ease of the example here, let's say you have it in the S&P 500. You might have it in a mutual fund that follows the S&P 500, or you might have it in the main ETF that people use, SPY. And let's say you want to hedge that right now. The markets have bounced back a little bit, and you think that you've got some downside room to go. Let's do that. So first, we're going to put in the symbol of the ETF that we own, SPY. And let's say we have about $30,000 in that. Let's say we bought 100 shares of it when it was around $300 per share. So we're sitting at a loss right now, but we want to hedge any downside move from here. So what we're going to buy a put on SPY. And right here it says BTO, that means buy to open. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to buy this put to open up a new position, an option position on it. We have 100 shares and every contract represents 100 shares. And so we only need one contract here. So we don't need more than one in the quantity there. And then we'll choose a date. So how long do we want this contract to last? Let's say we want it to last a year. We're scared about what's going to happen in the next year. So we'll go out to March 31st of next year, and it's a put. And then this is the strike price. So what price do we want to be protected against it falling past? Now, let's say that we think that there's a pretty good chance that we have a big sell-off here. So we're going to buy a 200 strike price put. If it stays above that, let's say we're not worried about, we think it'll bounce back. We think the market will bounce back as long as it stays above 200, which the S&P 500, that'd be 2,000. So let's say we're not really worried about the market as long as it stays above that. But if it does fall beneath that, hey, we're really worried about the American economy and it might take a really long time. So we want to, it's kind of like we're hedging against a worst case scenario here. So we can see there, it only costs, the bid is $981 on that. The ask is $1138. That's what the sellers of this option contract are wanting to get, at least $1138. And the buyers of this contract right now that have open orders to buy are wanting to buy it at a price of $981. So we're going to try and come in between there. Let's just say at $10. With options, you never want to do a market order, you're just going to get screwed on the price there. That's a huge spread between the bid and the ask. That's a 20% difference that you'll pay there. So we don't want to do a market order. We're going to do a limit order, and that just means we don't get filled unless somebody's willing to meet us at our price. We're going to put in 10. And so we're gonna spend $10 here, and we're gonna get a put option that gives us the ability to buy a insurance contract that says if SPY goes to 0, we can still sell our shares at 200. Now that's a good deal. Especially if we're worried about a big collapse. And we've got 100 shares, so we protect all of it. Now it costs us $10. So that means if it goes to 0, then our net result is that we sell these for 190, right? Because we're just mentally accounting for what we had to pay for the contract. So we get 190, that means 19,000. So worst case scenario, we sell our $30,000 position and we get $19,000 back. So not bad. That's a lot better than getting 0 back. And if everything does really go that bad, then that will preserve some of our purchasing power to buy something else that we might think does better. And that contract lasts for a year. If nothing happens within the next year and we just stay above that or go up, then this contract will just expire. Now that limit price you may have to mess with a little bit. If that doesn't get filled, you may have to increase the price a little bit until somebody's willing to meet you and fill you. But that's why we do a limit, so we can control the price that we're paying. Now you can also get 2 contracts if you want to try and make a little bit of money on the way down, so that you don't really make anything unless it falls a lot. But if it does fall a lot, you make a lot instead of just protecting yourself. And that way, let's say the S&P 500 falls 50% from here, or another 60% from here, which during the financial crisis, it fell, 50%. During the Great Depression, fell 80 to 90%. And so let's say we're betting on a big collapse in the market, then you can in addition to just preserving your purchasing power, you can make a little money on that. Let's say you spend, you buy 3 of those contracts, it costs you $30. Now again, times 100, so that would be 3,000. So it's 10% of your portfolio in terms of your cost. And then if it falls by 50%, 70%, you're going to make a lot of money instead of just protecting yourself. Now, let's say you don't have SPY. Let's say you just have a couple mutual funds that generally represent the US stock market. You can buy, you can do options on different ETFs that represent larger percentages of the market, or you can buy puts on a couple different ETFs. Or even if you just have mutual funds, you don't have to buy options specifically on the exact investments that you have, as long as it's pretty similar. Then if your investments go down, then the ETFs that your options are tracking are probably going to be pretty similar. And so the fall in the ETF price will make your puts worth a lot more. And if you're a little bit overwhelmed about the date, the strike price, the cost, and just the mechanics of buying options just in general, I've got a few days left on a sale on my options course. I've got it linked in the description below. Go buy that course, and it'll get you up to speed on being able to use options conservatively. Now, you're most likely only going to be able to do this if you move your retirement account into an IRA. Now, for a lot of you, that might not be an option. So the second option that you can look into is calling up your 401k company. If let's say your company that you work for has your 401k plan, let's say at Fidelity, you call Fidelity and you say, hey, am I able to open up a self-directed brokerage account inside of my retirement account? Because a lot of times that's an option that most people don't realize is there. A lot of times it's called a personal choice retirement account or a self-directed retirement account, something like that, but it's inside of the umbrella of your 401k. And so instead of then just being eligible to buy the couple mutual funds they allow you to, they'll move your money into a sub account that gives you access to any stocks, any ETFs, and a lot of times options as well for you to buy puts to protect your retirement money. And again, you're going to have to call the 401k provider. Your company or even your HR department probably won't know anything about it. Now, let's say that's not even an option, and the only thing you can do is continue to keep your money in your retirement account at your regular 401k plan with your employer. Go in and look at all of the options that you have available to you, the choices in terms of the mutual funds that they allow you to invest in. A lot of the times you're going to find mutual funds in there that are called hedged equity funds or long short funds. These are mutual funds that themselves will use options or shorts in order to provide some sort of protection against the market falling. So these hedged equity funds, they're usually available in your 401k plans. And so instead of just being in a large cap American US stock market mutual fund, you can be in a mutual fund that's invested in a similar way, but it's just protected against some of the downside. Now, if that is also not available, the next best thing that you can do is just number one, make sure you're not in any target date funds, because those are going to put you heavy into bonds and will increase your exposure to bonds over time. You're never going to keep up with purchasing power being in bonds, and so your real return within bonds is going to be very low. So make sure you're not in any of the target date funds. Make sure the 401k plan isn't managing your account for you. Make sure you're choosing the funds yourself, and look for international funds with international exposure. Look for value funds and look for active funds instead of index, because right now the active funds are going to be looking for deals, and index funds don't do that. And so long term, you're going to probably be able to have a lot better performance moving into an active fund right now, because they're going to be able to avoid some of the companies that are really dangerous right now, susceptible to collapse, and long term will they're buying the deals right now. So that's a primer on how to hedge and protect your retirement account. Please remember, none of this is advice. It's not individual investment advice or a recommendation on specific securities. It's meant as education to allow you to be better prepared to navigate these crazy markets right now. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. I usually try to answer every question that comes through there. So if you do have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to clarify if anything was a little bit confusing in what I said. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great day.